that's also with the internet. You have net trolls. You have people that are going on behind their keyboards and being a troll and just being rude for no reason, just to be rude. But if you ask them in real life, they're not daring to do the same thing. For me,
No.
it's like I'm the same in here that I'm in real life.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Metaverse Degen. I'm Lion.
I'm Old Man Raptor, and our guest is...
Snitchie, hello.
Hello. Thank you very much for joining us.
Oh.
It's an absolute pleasure to sit down and speak with you.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, likewise.
Oh, so what is it you do here in the virtual world?
Well, I've always been lurking on the outside like 2 years ago and looking at the clubbing scene because I've always liked dancing in real life, but as a grown man with family and everything, you kind of can't go out dancing like every day, and you can't join a dancing group because they are like 16, 17-year-olds, and when you are level 40 plus, it's kind of awkward and also a little bit shy. So you dance typically 4 or 5 times a year when you're at a party with coworkers or friends. But since I've been lurking outside and I wanted to join in, but the VR technology wasn't quite there and the PC cost to get in wasn't good enough. So I was almost about to join when the Quest 2 came out, but I tried it with friends and it was still like, nah, and too expensive. So I joined 1 year ago with the Pico came out in Europe, and I got instantly captivated by the dancing and the clubbing scene. And Orion met a few people, started jumping around half body, and it was just like, I gotta do more. And I was looking into how to get full body, but it's too expensive. And I still stuck with it, and well, it was January 17th or 15th. I tried out some camera app tracking for the iOS system called Pinosoft. And I got legs, I got hips, I got chest, and it felt amazing. So, yeah, basically, to cut it short, what I do is I dance, basically, and I record myself, and I like what I see and like to edit, and started editing also in this year. So that's what I want to do. I want to spread what we can do inside this virtual world, be somebody else, and at the same time get in good physical shape and socialize and get relationships you would never get if it weren't for this place.
You're very right.
It's like,
oh
yeah, just imagine I can just talk to 20 people on Discord now and ask them to join dancing or doing something that I love and they love. That's impossible to get in a small community locally.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I dance and have fun, socialize, and take snapshots of what's happening inside here and spread it out so other people can get a glimpse. And the ones that are in the snaps or the clips I make, they can also revisit and relive what they just did. So, yeah, that's in a nutshell me.
Oh.
In here.
Wow. So you basically hopped in here right off the bat and started doing what you enjoy and you're doing now, right off the bat, I see. Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's what I sought out, because also what I read on Reddit and other forums of people wanting to join in as I did. How do you get new friends? Blah, blah, blah. What do you do in VRChat? How do you deal with children? How do you act with rude people? But VR is kind of like the same thing in real life. If you move to a new town, for example, I haven't done that myself, but if you move to a new town, how do you get in contact with people and build a relationship or new connections? Well, first you got to seek out people who have the same interests that you have. And the best thing to do that is to look at like events with a starting date, time it starts and time it ends. For people, it's conventions, it's dancing classes, it's going walks with dogs, everything. But in VR, you can play chess, you can dance, you can go to comedy clubs, you can go to a drinking bar. So for me, it was like dancing and music, because when I hear music, my body just says one thing: you need to move.
Oh.
Move now.
Oh,
And I find other people that feel the same in VR.
did you ever do any of the dancing that you do here in VR in real life? Did you have an experience with it IRL?
Mm, I never danced on stage in real life, and when I started dancing in VR, I knew how to move to a beat, but I did not know any fancy moves or anything. And I always dance a little bit too much because I'm a little bit hyperactive and got a lot of energy. So my friends were always like, yeah, slow down, slow down. You don't have to go so hard. But in VR, nobody told me to slow down. So when you look at yourself in the mirror and you go hard and you record yourself, first you learn by looking at yourself, because I've done like a lot of martial arts. I'm a karate instructor also, but you look in the mirror and you learn by looking in the mirror. And also, if you record yourself, you look at yourself afterwards. You see what works and what doesn't work. And it's slowly the stamina builds up. You get more interested. I looked up YouTube tutorials on how to do a running man shuffle, how to do a T-step, etc., etc. And then as long as it's fun, you just automatically keep on learning.
Wow.
So I never done those things in real life, but I did watch YouTube videos from, I had like a week or two where I was super into dancing. Oh, I want to learn this, but it just dies out after a week or two. And the same happens 3 years later, and it dies out again. But in here, I do it 5 days, 7 days, 5 days a week. I dance, so I give myself 2 days like rest.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's actually pretty
Holy
impressive.
shit.
You said before you do some
Damn.
martial arts in real life. Do you work any of that into your routines?
Yeah, I have incorporated some martial arts. So if I dance to funk drift music, you see me doing punches and blocks and kicks, for example. But I stopped karate in 2016 because I had a knee injury. I got chronic tendonitis for doing wrong moves over and over again. So I always had that pain, but the dancing in VR was slowly building up stamina on just listening to my body. I haven't had a pain in my leg now since February this year.
Wow.
So I'm doing something right with my body.
Well, as the saying goes, an object to motion stays to motion, an object to rest stays at rest. It also works for the body too. Probably why when you see people retire and they stop moving and working and doing things, they immediately start degenerating. What do you think?
You're not funny.
I'm not talking
You're
about
not
you.
funny.
I'm not being funny. I'm saying it honest to fact.
Yes, it does happen when people, you get situations and stuff like this, things slow down a little bit and everything else. You try to smell the roses is what they say. But if you're active, you try to stay active, you have more fun in life, you know? Besides just letting the brain think for you, you do all the things like he's saying. It'd be great. I wished I had half his energy some days. Sucks.
So,
Oh, gotta ask my question.
Yeah.
oh,
Gotta
yes.
ask my famous question line.
Of
My
course.
famous question I ask everybody when you first came into VR, right? And you went into wherever you end up at when you first started. What was the weirdest thing that you saw and you're going, okay, I got it. Whoa, no, I gotta go. What was the weirdest thing you ever seen in VR that made you want to cringe?
Well, basically, I haven't cringed yet, and I've seen a lot of stuff, but I'm not immune to crazy shit. But I work with humans and as a social worker, environmental therapist, and I've been, seen a lot of things. So in here, it's more like I'm curious. What can I learn? What can I learn about people? What do they do in here that they do not dare do in real life, for example? But I haven't been cringed. But I must say, Black Cat, the first time when I heard 10 kids yelling around, come look at this. And I went up and it was 2 avatars in fallbacks having it go. And I turned them both on. And I was like, okay, yeah, but this is just sex. But yeah, it was kind of awkward that kids were seeing this in this environment because it's unregulated. But again, parents are the ones to blame.
Yeah. I do have a question for you. Since said you're a social worker in real life. What kinds of things have you noticed or have learned since you've hopped into VRChat, may I ask? As well as what you do
That
for
people
dancing in
open
YouTube.
up.
Oh, people open up?
People open up, and the LHUKBT scene, and people are more comfortable with that in here, because in real life and also in my studies and stuff, you learn a lot about it, and people want to be who people want to be, and I don't care. And as myself, I'm a guy dressed as this, but I don't want to be a woman in real life. But in here, I like to role play. So it's kind of nice to see that some do it like I do it, some do it with guy avatars and don't think about it, and some actually wants to be a guy and is a female in real life, or a male and a female. And I like to see that those people are gaining happiness and self-confidence in themselves by exploring these fields.
Okay. Yeah.
So I like seeing humanity grow. I see it as an addition to humanity.
Oh. So you see all of that as a good thing. People are able to explore themselves in VR. Oh.
Absolutely.
That's actually a pretty wholesome thing for you to pick up and learn. I'm very glad as well to hear that at sea people use VR as a means to bring themselves peace of mind. It's a good way to use the system versus doing the no clothes shuffle.
Yeah, but basically most of the things that we humans do, it's even if you go get intoxicated, or you jump into watch a movie, or you go in here to do whatever you do, or play a game, we do it out of either we escape from reality, or we do it to take a break and reward ourselves. So if you go in here to escape, then it might become a problem, like with everything else you do for escapism. But if you do it to reward yourself, or to add to whatever you're doing in real life, so both parts grow up like a balanced thing, then it's absolutely a positive thing.
Oh.
And that's what I thrive to do for myself as well.
How would one well balance out VR versus real life to avoid, how do I word this, escaping into VRChat and VR?
Well, that's a tough question, since every person is individually driven by things in their life. But the balance, well, listen to your body. If you're getting not enough nutrition because you're in here, or you're playing video games, World of Warcraft all day, and not getting physical activity, well, that's an issue. So it's a lot of things to think about. But the most important thing, just to nail it down to one word, is: are you happy with what you're currently doing? When you go to bed, are you happy with the day you had? And are you looking forward to the next one? So if you can answer yes to both of those questions, keep doing what you're doing.
Okay. That's good to hear. I find it very interesting to hear your perspective from that, because I could, from the outside world, I've seen a lot of people look into what us three do here in VR, and some people may be very interested and want to join, and others see it as like a detriment to society. So I find it quite interesting to hear your perspective on it.
Yeah, and I can just add, because I dance and record myself, and I push out YouTube videos, and I like doing it. I think it's fun. But many of my real life friends, I did what every YouTube creator does in the beginning. You are super proud of what you made, and you share them with all your family and all your friends and coworkers. But it's not for them you made this content. You made it for yourself, and you made it for other people that might have the same interest. So people were just like, what the hell are you doing in there? You're dressed as a female girl and jumping around in a jumpsuit like a fool. And I looked like a fool when I started compared to what I look like now. So to answer on that aspect, as soon as I then became a little bit better at what I'm doing, and I also took photos of myself in real life and photos in VR, and I smashed them over each other like you see in my content now, and I showed that to my friends, and they also see that I learn moves, I stay in shape, and I'm at my age, and most guys in my age have a huge beer belly and just sit on the sofa and watch soccer or sports and complain. while drinking beer. So now they see the fruits that also comes from my balance by adding this to my life. So again, it's a big complicated question, and it's not the same for everybody, because not everybody likes to dance just by hearing music. So they need to find something else in here that builds up on their social real life and VR life, for example.
Quite honestly, I also see VRChat as a good way for social placement for social media, because unlike the Bluebird or the X Now or Facebook, it's you're not reading people's short blurbs of whatever gets them excited, usually not good stuff. But here you have a more of an interpersonal connection with the people you'd see in a post per se, or a world or an event. So I hope, personally, partially hopes social VR platforms take a future role in replacing social media.
Yeah, it's, as soon as you can merge, say, like Facebook or Twitter and this into one thing, yeah, and you also have AR and VR, so I'm predicting, like we are seeing now, in 2 years, maybe people are walking around with scuba masks or some fancy glasses and can tap in and out of the current Meta or whatever we are in social in. At this moment, it's VRChat because it's the first thing that came, and it's the place where people have spent most of their money. You have people spending thousands of dollars on avatars, and yeah, they don't want to just jump ship unless they can bring those assets with them. So if we can have one seamless AR VR experience where you can jump from one game to another and take this avatar and everything with you, like in Ready Player One or whatever, but that's a little bit futuristic, but it might happen because we are getting exponential growth with AI technology and people just using that as a tool to help them and save time. And time saved is more time spent on new things. So, boop, boop, boop. It's gonna happen, I think.
I very much agree. I'd say give it time for all those things. Right now, I'd say we're like in the Nokia brick phone stages of what would be VR, the metaverse. I think we're still in the experimental, see how things go. People are slowly getting interest. Give it another decade or two, you'll see some wild stuff. I'm just glad that.
Yeah, right now it's because one of the things to get people in now is the full body experience. If I could give my mom 5 minutes and she doesn't need to strap on anything and she could do what I do in front of a mirror with the same speed and accuracy, 5 minutes with a headset or glasses, then the masses would come. You just need one or two influencers from, say, TikTok or Instagram that has like 1 million followers plus. They start doing it, everybody else is going to want to do it.
Oh, yeah.
So now it's just the cost of the full body and the price of the PC you need to have, like good frames and good full body. It's too much. We're talking $3,000 and above.
Well, at least with some of that stuff, you could see a lot of the companies like Vive and Vive, Steam, and other companies are slowly trying to push out the cheaper, well, less expensive standalone headsets, and I think that's a current trend. I think they're trying to give you all-in-one package, especially with Vive, for example, with their XR Elite, and then they're also pairing that with their new camera trackers, where you don't need base stations; they're just cameras, and they accurately
Yeah, that's
track.
what I was waiting for.
Oh,
I got the camera tracking in January, and then they announced they were getting wireless ones because I immediately saw that I need lighthouses. I can't do this camera because my hips moved from left to right, but not back and forth. So I danced in mirror, looked good, 2D and two-dimensional. But as soon as they announced the wireless trackers, I was like, oh, yes, this is the ones I want. So I don't need to get lighthouses and I can move wherever. I had small house and small play space back then. Before my divorce, but that's another story. But because of the late from the announcements to when you actually can order them, I got tired of waiting, and I was this close to ordering like lighthouses and using my scholarship money that I've saved up from back. But my friend then oh, I can make slimes. Let's try this. And he made the slimes that I'm using now.
Oh wow.
So that's why I'm on slimes instead of lighthouses. But the wireless ones, the HTC, I'm looking into combining those with slimes and see if I can get better leg movement. Because if you move too fast with slimes and you get the drifting, looks interesting. But still, I believe that the future is camera tracking. You just need 4 webcams in your room and a fast AI with GPU and CPU. And they can only track you. So if your mom, your sister, or somebody else walks by, you still have 3 cameras, and it's only you it's tracking. And I'm guessing some of the companies, say like HTC, they are sitting on this technology now, but they still need to get in a little bit money for all the patents they have done on lighthouses and now the wireless ones. But this is just me predicting the future. But if you can now do it with 2 cameras, what I used for 10 months are now possible to do with 2 cameras, and that costs $20.
Oh wow.
And it looks like 5 slimes sometimes. And yeah, you can fool people and still say it's like lighthouses if you don't move fast enough. So that's what I'm predicting. We have no straps on our bodies, and we just have webcams.
I'd say even the current tech we're using still has some value in seeing how people react to it. I'm sure those companies getting feedback from like, oh, they prefer lasers over cameras, or they prefer cameras over lasers. Then all the data they get from it as well, like, oh, here's how they're performing, here's where the issues are. And we finally get to the full webcam stage of full body tracking. I'm sure it would help that tech move faster and more efficiently and smoothly as well. I'd say each stage we're in now is still a positive, even if it's just learning, this stuff doesn't work.
It is. Yeah, you even have what the movies are using, full motion caption bodysuits, how they made Gollum back in the days in the Lord of the Rings movies, and that's years ago. So the technology is old, but the next one is to basically have nothing on your body, just a camera. I'm guessing 2 years tops, and we will all be using cameras in our living rooms.
Well, I believe there is some camera and AI-driven technology out now that some people use for like videos or video games as well, or like when you, instead of like where we do calibrating, it'll set like a skeleton over your body, like you'll see like a wireframe to where your arms, legs, and hips are. So when you move, the program will in turn translate that as well. So it is a possible thing to do.
And now it's on skeleton base. Yeah, skeleton base. And the one I did, it places virtual motion trackers on my body. So I saw Vive trackers inside Steam VR when I used the camera once, as I'm also seeing with my slimes. But yeah, the skeleton is the beginning, and then it has your whole outlined. It's gonna happen.
Oh, so now that we're talking about trackers, how are the slime trackers used for dancing? What's your experience with those, and what do you think about them?
Well, I love them, but there's one issue you've probably seen, because I've already, since we started talking, my legs were at one point over there, and I double pressed a button, and my legs are back. That's a drifting issue you get with IMUs, no matter what brand or type. By now I'm wearing the official ones, the most expensive, so they drift less. But slimes, they work. The more you have, the better they work. So I started with 8, and I went up to 10, and then I went to 11, and I tried 14, but that's with shoulders. And since the shoulders got too close to my neck, they basically did nothing. So when I raised my arms, nothing happened like I'm doing now. But if you place them on top of your shoulder, you can basically shrug and do like, I don't know. You get full body language. And for me as a dancer, people are telling me 12 trackers that I'm currently wearing, and I'm saying it's the best option. It translates into 8 Vive. So 8 Vive or 12 slimes, because what's the most common, most used language in all the world? It's body language. And the more trackers you have, the more language you have, the more you can communicate. And as a dancer, you get used to seeing yourself, and you strap on elbows. Oh, my lord, I can do this, I can do fancy shit without trouble. So you get more used to seeing, and then it's like, when I've just put on 6, why don't put on 2 more? And my friend started making more, and I was like, how much do you need in parts for one more? And it was the cheap ones, and he said, well, $12. And I said, okay, give me 12, give me one. And he built it. So I just up, and I landed on 12. And the more you have, the more they talk together, communicate. So I would highly recommend, if you can, make them yourself, or you can get somebody to make them for you, since it's an open source driven community with slimes, and it will only get better the more people that uses it and fiddles with it. But you can look at like this, if you just to make it a little bit funny, but the Vive users are like the Apple users of full body, and the slime users are like the Linux users. You need to fiddle a bit. Or you can look at like, you are driving a Ferrari and I'm driving like a Fiat or something that needs to go and take a pit stop a little bit more often.
Well, being
As I see it, yeah.
being a Vive user, I'd say the affordability of slime seems a lot more attractive in getting like 11-point tracking, 12-point tracking versus, oh look, I get to spend an entire rent check on full body, versus slimes where it doesn't seem like you have to spend a rent check.
Yeah. Eight Vives, if you include the HMD, it's like 11 points. So yeah, I'm now using 11 points, and that cost me $250 excluding straps. So if you put in the straps, $300 tops.
That's
to get 11 points with slimes. And to get the same with Vive, you need to up with 2,500 or 3,000 if you want 3 lighthouses. I did the math, so instead of spending money on lighthouses when my friend made the slimes, I used that money and bought myself a 4090.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and the 4090 helped me on the YouTube side, because I can now film without blocking people and making people without 25 meters disappear. I can have everybody shown, I can record, dance, and have fun all at the same time. So for me, it was like pros and cons. Do I want slow GPU but good full body, or do I want cheap full body but good GPU? So as many people also are commenting on the YouTube videos, what are you using? What should I get? What headset? And I'm like, it's always a time you need to decide what money to spend and what to jump on. There's always something new coming out. What are you using? What should I get? What headset?
You are very correct there. At least with a lot of the new headsets coming out with Vive and Steam, with the Deckard and the XR Elite, then you got Apple jumping in and a whole bunch of other companies. It does seem the future is going to be bringing less expensive headsets as time goes on, especially with a lot of the new tech they're trying out and the affordability of it. And I have a feeling with these standalones coming out, like with what you have with a Pico, I believe the competitive nature of being the best headset, you're going to see a price reduction over time to get the best possible experience with the best money possible, especially with like the standalones being a thing now. Be able to do your VR without a computer. Well,
yeah, most def. And what I'm still curious about, if we want to talk about Sony and PlayStation 2 VR, because I have a few friends that don't want to get like a Peak or a Quest because they already have the PlayStation. If Sony could allow VRChat on their platform and allows their users to get into PC worlds, because the PlayStation is basically a PC like all the other consoles these days. But to get that to happen, it's kind of like vision upon a star, because there's not much money in it regarding hardware sales. But just imagine how many Quest 2 users started with standalone headsets and have now spent $10,000 on full body and a PC upgrade just for VRChat. That's quite a few people, and they could half that price by going with a PlayStation setup.
yeah. I do very much agree. The possibilities of having PlayStation give the ability as an entry level experience is great, and the money they can make from it. The only downside is PlayStation is never known for playing well with others in terms of cross compatibility.
Oh
That's the one thing why I
yeah,
don't like the
yeah.
console wars that much, is because they're always trying to strive to be the one console to rule them all, have the best
Mhm.
possible games for their players to get, and none of them will even think about making a lot of them cross compatible, even though that may entice people to join their specific console. It's just a weird competitive thing I don't think
Yeah,
would want to.
yeah, I even bought the Xbox 360 back in the day just to play Final Fantasy 11 in my sofa if I wanted to, because I also played it on a PC. And they did it with a cross-platform, and they did not even make you go with a gold membership. You could just have a silver and still be able to play.
Mm.
But that was the first time they did that. So after that, they saw that they lost money, but it's what it is. If everybody's doing it and it is open source, there is some economy that some people can earn money. Just look at what VRChat is doing now with the credits.
Yeah.
It was bound to happen with the monetization. That's just how the world works.
Oh, of
But what I
course.
think is funny and I'm curious about in that regards, not to change the
Oh,
subject,
it's
but
all good.
in real life now, you have people going to Twitch or Kick in the just chatting area or whatever, and they are literally giving money to people that are sitting down eating, licking their microphones, just taking a bubble bath, or playing games or whatever. So what will happen inside here regarding credits? Now we have the VIP rooms and we have the jet skis and whatever assets you can get. What would happen with the strip clubs? Yes, there are strip clubs in VRChat. And what would say happen with those people? There are some people now on their profile, donate money to me, get a lap dance. They can now just get credits. So it's going to be an interesting development from the social aspect of the monetization action that is happening, because it just started.
Mm.
So in the beginning, I think world creators will be the first to benefit from it,
Mm.
or they should. But and it's, if you are in denial and you don't like it, well, why are you in here?
Mm.
You can't fight it.
Yeah. Well, in terms of like what kinds of things come about, it'll be no different from when people figured out how to get Patreon involved with VRChat. You still see worlds
Mm-hmm.
like I use the Just Be Club. With a Patreon membership, you get access to certain rooms. Within those strip club, VRChat strip clubs, you'll see people with Patreon links in their bios. Donate to my Patreon in order to get a lap dance. A lot of those things are still here. It's just not the credit system specifically. And I know a lot of people in VRChat may be afraid of, oh, it's going to become capitalized and corporate and horrible. But the exact same point, it's already been here for a very long time with Patreon. It's going to be no different.
Exactly.
The only difference is that VRChat will allow people to like subscribe to their favorite content creators, whether worlds, avatars, or whatever, to help support. And that's one thing I've noticed VRChat players love to do is, like, for example, if there's an avatar base that they found in public or got through other means, a lot of people will go out of their way in VRChat to buy the avatar or support that creator in some way. And I think allowing players to do that within VRChat directly is a huge benefit because it keeps everything all within VRChat. It becomes
Exactly.
easy instead of going to some sketchy website in order that they may or may not have in order to get them some sort of support. You could just, oh, look, go to the profile and click on
Yeah, and
Snitchie.
some
I like their dance.
Ko-Fi, Patreon,
Mm,
PayPal. Yeah,
yeah. And
I'm totally agreeing with you.
mm, sorry.
No, no, go ahead, go ahead, go
Yo,
ahead.
I get very excitable. If I don't shut up, just run me over with like conversation. I'll understand. I'm not offended by shit.
No, no, I can talk on for hours and hours.
Yeah, no, I'm just
But yeah,
surprised.
capitalizing, it's come.
Oh yeah.
And you have also the Gumroad, but you gotta say it's gonna be a little bit dangerous, at least for some of us. I ain't like the avatar craze person that buys an avatar. When I find one that I'm comfy in, I kind of stick with it. But imagine if you could just go and you hit the change avatar button and you give a second option, get the Unity pack for 100 credits.
Yeah.
And you don't have to use Unity to upload anything, and you get the Unity pack. So if you want to fiddle with it, you can just download the Unity pack and go into Unity. But if you just want to do like I do, I can only do texture edits. I would just love to, now I own this, and if I want to fiddle with it. But then again, people are going to spend crazy amount of money. Just look at what they are doing in Counter-Strike with a gun that doesn't do anything for the gaming performance. They go out of their way to buy it. I have a son that spent too much money on that. So
Yeah, well, players of VRChat still do that with avatar assets and avatars. And
Gumroad.
Gumroad,
Yeah, but you
booths.
still need the Unity aspect.
Yeah.
The entry level is a little bit high to be able to do that. The entry level wouldn't be low if I bought an avatar from you and you also have a wardrobe for that avatar. I can buy a jacket for 10 more credits. I can get a blue one for 1 more credit. And then suddenly I bought the whole collection and spent like $1,000. And if I were to do that with Unity and Gumroad, I needed to do like 100 uploads. And that's not for everybody, but some do it, yes.
Yeah.
So that's what I meant by dangerous. And you can also get avatar creators doing like, okay, buy this mystery box. You can get either this $1,000 avatar or this $10. Reroll the dice. That's gonna happen.
Well,
so you get gambler's effect.
Yeah, I don't see VRChat content creators would be willingly jump into that too quickly. Like if you're to look at VRChat Twitter when the whole creator economy aspect came out, you see a lot of people going, I don't like this. This is a horrible idea because of XYZ. And they're like world builders, content creators, club owners. So there is enough of a voice within VRChat to kind of push that kind of terrible part of the economy away, because a lot of that stuff is user driven, like our worlds, our avatars, and our games. So it's not like VRChat itself will be pushing people to do the mystery boxes. It's if a person does, and since VRChat is the community, if no one wants to.
But as soon as one starts doing it, and if the community likes it, it's gonna happen more. Because if one sees what you are doing, okay, I want what this person has. He has income from doing this. Okay, the same happens on content creation and everything. We always have to develop, and sometimes it's going the wrong direction, socialize or economy-wise for the better good, and sometimes it's for the better. But again, it's interesting to sit on the sideline and see what happens, and also think a little bit of, can oneself benefit from this? Because we all got to face it, just to think a little bit big. In like 5 or 10 years, there most likely won't be any, say, driver job, because we have driverless cars and transport trucks, just to make a big example. And with that, new jobs and new ways of getting income is gonna emerge. And then what can you do? What can we do? So everybody benefits, and you don't, because I don't like the idea of somebody at the top and it just drips down in a pyramid. That's not the way a society should work, but no. Where everything is like a circle and we all benefit. So if I get this from you and you get this from me, and that's also one of the ways I like bringing my content out to the world, to swap over a little bit to that, is because just for me to dance in a VR DJ event, there are so many people involved for me to be able to do that. They are the creators of the trackers. They are the headset developers. They are the software developers of VRChat. They are the world creators, avatar creators, the community managers setting the whole thing up. There are people there dancing, people there producing the music, dancing to the music, mixing the music. I can go on and on and on and on. So as soon as you make something, it's not just you that made it. It's everybody that made it. We made it. And we are making it as we go along, just by spending time in here.
Well, with groups and communities like VRChat, with the creator economy and with the things you fear happening, we as users and players have two things on our favor that can benefit us, and that is you vote with your dollar and your attention. If you don't want to see something, don't use it. And in turn, if people see that, oh, looks, it's not being well received, they won't do it. It's the exact same thing with a lot of business models. Your best power you have is your dollar and your attention with a lot of those things. And VRChat's no stranger to that. That's my view on it.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Hmm.
And yeah, people are having fun in here and they are noticing and they are spending more time. They are coming back. And when people come back, yeah, more things happen. And that's also why I love spreading and also love that you guys made contact, because we are now spreading what we are doing in here so people outside can actually get a glimpse and decide if they want to jump in or not.
Indeed. I personally hope and as many people find as much fun as we do. You, me, Raptor, the people who run the events you dance at. I hope people find as much fun here as we do. Because like when I came in here, for example, I stopped using the streaming videos of movies. I just instead I come in here and I'll talk with Raptor, the friend group, or someone at an event. That's much more music to me than sitting down on a couch watching Lord of the Rings for the 20th time. And when you instead can watch a video together, whether it's on YouTube or whatever, as friends talking, or even sitting around a virtual campfire or dancing. I
Yeah.
think that's better use of time
Yeah,
than.
many times. Yeah, in the start when I didn't dance, and I still do it like 2 times a week, just watch a movie in VR or I'll go put on a documentary on YouTube, sit down in a cozy world, chit and chat, and that's so much more rewarding than doing it in real life. And as real life goes with work, study, and family and everything, you kind of can't just call a friend and say, "Hey, want to go to a coffee shop and have a coffee or talk?" You go to a theater. You have to make an appointment in advance, and then you have to get there. But now it's like, oh, I got one. I got an hour. I want to meet some friends. Message them on Discord or just hop on and see who's online and see what happens.
Indeed.
It's the social part that brings me back, and there was also always like that in games I used to play. I haven't played, well, I played Diablo 4 6 hours since I got VRChat a year ago. That's the only game I've played basically. And all the other games before that, I was in it because of the social part. I was doing it with other people, and it was mostly MMO games. But as soon as the new MMO comes out, you play 2 months, people die out or get bored, and you sit alone and you just, why am I doing this? Killing 1,000 mobs to get a new sword, to kill a boss that gives me a better sword and an axe that I then can use to kill another boss and another boss and another boss. And what's growing by doing that? That's escapism, as I said earlier. You're just escaping. It's not rewarding you. Well, it didn't reward me in real life when I did not have the social part. But the social part rewarded me. But now in here, I get the social part. I get the game feel, if you know what I mean, by this is a game, but it's not a game. So it is what you treat it. It is as. But yeah, I treat it as half a game and half a social interaction and experience
I
that enriches my life.
I very much agree with you in all of that. And there's also one other layer I've noticed in VRChat as well. People bring their real life skills, like, for example, the laser light technician who builds the lasers in the event you're dancing at. And people will see those things like, oh, cool, I want to work with laser lights. And the community very willingly will teach you how to use laser lights. What's the program? How does it work in VR? It actually functions similar in real life. Here's what you do. And people are learning skills here as well. Hell, there's a Japanese school now dedicated to teaching Japanese that you can go to right in VRChat and stuff like that. And I like that aspect as well, as you can come in here and not just socialize, or you could also learn things. You could develop real life skills that'll help you outside this headset as well.
Yeah, I got actually amazed when I saw a YouTube video about a Japanese group. I'm still have it on my list to check it out. They do morning workouts before they go to work inside VRChat. Because Japanese morning would be like, what would that be for me? 6 hours ahead, but still, it would be amazing to see what that kind of feels like and do a morning routine before we all go to work. I've done a morning rave joining the American VR DJ events when they typically is like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. for me. I went on, did a dance for the ministry promotion group on stage, and went to work afterwards. That was amazing, but I still like to do it a little bit longer. So that's why I don't seek that out that often. Because when I strap on and go in, I don't go out until I go to bed, most likely.
Ah,
So I go on from like 8, 9 p.m. my time.
okay.
And then I'm out most 2 a.m. is 2 a.m., 3 a.m. sometimes.
Okay.
Depends, but on weekdays it's earlier.
Okay. Yeah, that's one of the benefits of VRChat. If you want to do events, whether it's dancing, working out, attending a workshop to learn a thing, there's always something running at some point in the day, no matter when it is you're free. If you want to rave and you're out at 7 p.m., guess what? There's shit tons. If it's 7 p.m. for you, but 1 a.m. somewhere else, guess what? Someone somewhere is doing it. If you want to learn a skill, lots of things to teach you lots of different aspects running somewhere. It's just a little bit of networking to find those things, and people would be very, very, very willing to drag you along and show you things as well.
Yeah, the openness is yeah, you can't compare with real life.
No.
The community that I come from in Norway is kind of a unwritten rule that you're not supposed to stick out from the masses. You're not special at all or nothing. So if you want to do something, it's hard to get attention from people because they mind their own business all the time. But in VRChat, you just walk up to somebody and talk. But I'm a very outgoing person in real life as well. And that's what I find baffling when I was in Orion and I saw a cool avatar walk in, a stranger, not a friend of mine or the other persons I was talking with. And I just walked up and started talking straight up, and this was cool, blah, 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 blah. And my friends afterwards, you can't just walk up to strangers and talk like that. And I was like, why not? The worst thing that can happen is they block me or they just tell me off. It's so much easier to dare in here, to put it in simpler words. So if you want to learn a skill, you just ask.
Yeah, and the VRChat community most times would be very willing to teach you. Hell, I was quite surprised to see there are some people within various rave groups willing to teach you how to make music or DJ, and they'd be very willing to pull you along and like, oh yeah, you want these programs? Here's the tech I would suggest. I have a spare one if you want, and they'll take the time to just show you, and they'll do it happily. A lot of people here want to share in the experience of what they enjoy, and if it means bringing someone new in so they can enjoy it, they'll be very willing to share the experience with you and teach it to you, just so you can have just as much fun as they are. And I enjoy that aspect of this community. It feels very welcoming.
But sharing is caring. And if you have a passion, there's nothing more fun than sharing that passion when people ask you about it. At least that's how I work. But as I also said, I've been an instructor in karate and I love teaching and sharing what I'm doing. But when somebody asks, you share. But still, there are some people that are a little bit too afraid to ask and a little bit shy. But in here, if you want to, nobody can ever figure out who you are. If you want to. So just have that in the back of your mind, for people watching or whatever. If you want to ask something, ask.
I believe there's a really good saying: you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's so true. And it's not from regretting what could have happened.
No. As you said earlier, I agree. Talk with and ask. Where she gets a no, you move on. There's someone out there who'll say yes.
Yes. I was just curious when you said shot. Is that how many you put in a bottle, or just how many people you pass by?
Oh, I believe that's a saying involving shooting. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Meaning, if you don't pull the
I
trigger,
gotcha.
you won't make the shot because it never left the gun.
Yeah, I got that. I was just being a smart ass. But okay, no problem. I'm used to that. No. Hi, folks.
I'm not in fun zone. I am boring and serious right now. I'm sorry.
But you're good, Raptor. You've been a little bit
Yeah.
quiet.
Oh,
You good?
hey, well, the biggest thing is, like I said, I listen to what's going on and stuff like that all the time and everything else like that. And I got a phone call. Sorry, folks. I had a phone call. Somebody wants me to move snow. So, yeah, it's one of those, everybody's got their little knacks no matter what you do in here. And like you're saying, and everything else. And you listen, biggest thing is being in here like everybody else. Sometimes you don't even have to ask. You stand back and listen. You can feed off of what people throw. And that's the biggest thing. You might be scared shitless to go up and ask, like you said, hey, blah, 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 and all like this, But sometimes you just stand back and listen to what's going on. You learn a lot. People that listen to what's going on can get a lot of feed without even asking one word. Unless it's something that you cannot comprehend, then you might ask. And everything else like this without interrupting or jumping, going, hey, I didn't understand what you just said. It's one, like you said, it takes just a little bit of a nerve and you've got it. But most of the time listening, oh God, the stuff you can listen in here, oh my Christ. It don't matter what it is. You pick up on a lot of shit. Holy Christ. And that sometimes is the fun part.
Yeah, one of my most fun things to do when I'm like not in the mood to socialize at an event or anything and just want to go inside my own shell. I join a public world. I find a mirror, say Cuddle World or whatever, put on some music in the media player, and I start dancing. And when you dance, people don't mind you. So I can just be there in my own world, muted as a mute, and just listen in on the deepest conversations you could ever imagine. About from world troubles to life issues to anything. But it's really fun to just be a fly on the wall.
Now you understand why.
Yeah.
Now you understand why I'm so small, because everybody overlooks the small people. And that's why I get that on all the time.
One of my best friends in VR is always in your size, and he's flying around. I forget he's there, but he's always listening, and suddenly you have a snappy comment coming from the side.
Sounds like somebody we know, right?
Yeah, when you're having to have a conversation and then a wise-ass comment comes out of the houseplant.
Hey, I'm not a houseplant.
No, but you're hanging in the houseplant.
I'm always hiding and shit. It's fun.
I've seen some of the funniest places this person, or Raptor here, this person has hung out in. You'll be like hanging out in the world not knowing, and then you'll walk by, and then you'll see a giggle from Raptor here. And you look over, and he's in a skull, or he's in a lamp, or hanging out in some bird cage off of the side project. You have no idea where he is. It's kind of funny sometimes to play a Where's Waldo, but with Raptor.
Oh, God. Next, you want to put a goddamn striped shirt on me so you can try to find me in the crowd, right?
Careful, talk to stuff.
But Raptor, do you think you will be more in the opening when you get your full body working?
Probably. I'd probably be more out, but I still hide in little nicks and crannies and stuff like that and wiggle my butt around where nobody can see me. Everybody's got their knacks.
Reason why I'm asking is because if you look at the mutes in VRChat, there are no good or bad mutes. All mutes are good. I love mutes, but I still have no best friends that are mutes in half body. All mutes I know are in full body because they use what I talked about earlier, like body language. So that's why I'm saying if you have a full body, you can also be a little bit blend in because you use the body language instead.
That's also a funny aspect. The blending is not the problem. It's just getting sat on and stepped on.
I see.
Yeah.
I mean, a good example. Yesterday, I went to a friend that had a birthday, right? And I was sitting there, standing in front. They were in Black Cat, and they were just hanging there and having fun and stuff like this. And I don't know how many people literally walked. Don't get me wrong, I was in the wrong, shouldn't have been in the location I was, because I was right there at the click the button mirror thing, and everybody was coming over, and I just yelled out, and they were just standing there. The mirror was on because I sat right there and watched them click. They're clicking at the mirror situation, and you can't tell me you can't see the reflection of me right there, right? And everything else. And I yelled up, "Would you just get off my ass and move?" All of a sudden, everybody just moves away, and everybody else started laughing and everything else like this. And they just all of a sudden noticed that I was there. It's stuff like that to catch. And it wasn't a problem. It wasn't. It was just funny. I just keyed up. And then they noticed, and it was just some of the shit that you catch people's attention, and they go, "Oh, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to step on you." Blah blah blah. Hello. It's just VR. It's just funny to see people's reaction when somebody keys up and says, "Would you get your foot off me? You're stepping on me." "Oh, I'm sorry." And they actually, full body people will actually lift their feet. That is funny to me. It's just going, "It's okay. It's no big deal." "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to step on you." Blah, 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 blah. And you just look at them going, "I'm just giving you hell. It's okay. Just pay attention to the little people. We're down here too, And it just, all of a sudden they just move over out of the way. It's funny.
Yeah, but you
And
have
people are laughing.
people that actually get mad, like real mad, if you just walk through them because of the phantom sense or whatever.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have phantom
It's just
sense myself. I almost fell the first time somebody ran through me, but I don't get mad. Yeah, it's funny. I don't know.
It's funny. I don't have only a couple spots of phantom sense, so I don't. If somebody steps on me or sits on me, when they do sit on you, you just sit there. You don't stand there, and you just go and you start humming. And you get louder, and and all of a sudden they'll look around. They literally go in a frickin' rotation trying to figure out where this hum's coming from. Hello, you're sitting on me. And it's in front of a mirror. They clicked on the mirror first, then turn around, just plant their ass, and I'm right there every time. And then I'm humming a few bars. It's funny, and they're just looking around like, okay, what? And then they look up instead of moving over, they're looking around and everything else, and somebody will pop up, "You're sitting on Raptor." Who's Raptor? The person you're sitting on is right there. Oh my God. And then they'll leave. And Black Cat, good example. I'm going to pop this up, and I thought it was funny, and I laugh about it today. I was in my avatar, just shot into Black Cat just to see what's going on. I do it once in a while to see what's crazy shit that's going on, and then poof. But I walk in the door, and this person, female, comes out of nowhere. "Oh, look at, you're so small, so cute," and everything else like this. Guess what? I was not seeing her touch me, tap me on the head, patting me, and all this, and everything else. Her boyfriend comes around the corner, looks at her, and goes, "Do you know where you're at?" And he goes, "Yeah, he's so cute," and everything else. But look where his eyesight is. Crotch shot. That's all I could see. This person was that close. And everything else. She ran off and disappeared and everything. And he goes, "I am so sorry," and everything else like this. I go, "It's okay." But that one is still today just as weird as hell. Because how do you talk to somebody's crotch knowing they're way up there and they're a big avatar? You feel like an idiot. You're going, "Well, do I pop up and say something or, and just let it go?" She's just petting me, and all I see is her crotch and everything else like this. And he's the one apologizing for her, and she's gone. And didn't see her the rest of the time that I was in Black Cat. She stayed completely away from me, like I was going to come and do something, and I didn't do anything. I went to another and talked to a bunch of friends. But
because the innocent that knows. And now she knows.
But it was funny. It was so funny. But that's part of being whatever your avatar is or what you are into or whatever the deal is. You get a lot of interaction to people, and that's the fun part. I'm in here for Black Hat. It's not just, I'm in here because I'm with Lion and friends and stuff like this, just like what you are with your dancing and meeting new people. I like meeting new people and stuff because I work with the public anyhow. And it's like you said, it's a complete different zone. You see people that actually want to release or talk and everything else in here, but when you take them out in the real world and you bump heads with the same person, and I've bumped heads with real people that I've met in here, their personality's not really changed. They're just really, really scared. And I don't blame them none. You're looking at, you don't know this person from Adam, all this kind of stuff. But once they go, you know, a good friend of ours and everything else, and I bumped heads with him and everything else. I took him out to lunch, everything else like this and everything else. And she goes around, he's the same as he is here. There's no, you're getting, sorry, I'm not trying to be fake, man, you know, and everything else. But he's such a nice guy. He's such a nice old man. That's all I get. He's just nice. I go, God, there goes my rep. I'm trying to ruin it, and she's trying to fix it. I'm going downhill fast.
Yeah, but that's also with the internet. You have net trolls. You have people that are going on behind their keyboards and being a troll and just being rude for no reason, just to be rude. But if you ask them in real life, they're not daring to do the same thing. For me, it's like I'm the same in here that I'm in real life. It's my personality. It's just another look you see me as.
Mm-hmm. That's just the way you look at it, and it's correct. He's correct on that on all points.
Yeah.
It's just, and what I've noticed too is when you see somebody that is a stiffy, right? They're quiet. You ever notice this one too? They come in VR because they haven't got the gear. They haven't started. They're starting. Oh, I want to test the waters first because they want to know what it's like. They walk in and then they get curious. Okay, wait a minute. I'll get headgear. Okay, they get headgear and all of a sudden they're still quiet. They're not saying anything. They're still a person that's quiet because it's new this way now. They know the basic outline of all the engines, what things work when you click on what to do what, how to get to the worlds, all that. They've got the basic knowledge. Then they go to full body and look out. The shit just opens up. They finally open up going, hey, wow, you know, and all of a sudden you get people that you turn around and you're going, what? Yeah. You're going, what? That's your voice? Holy Christ. You've been hanging around us for almost a year, almost 2 years. And all of a sudden you open up and they go, yeah, I had to get the feel of it. Okay,
yeah,
and you understand it. You understand.
2 friends that opened up like that, and I totally understand where you're coming from. But
yeah,
that's
you just sit there and go.
My big questions: why are you mute in here if nobody knows who you are? If you have a medical issue with your voice, I totally understand, and I'm not blaming people that choose to be mute. I like mutes a lot. But I'm just curious as to why only use your body language? But I'm on the other aspect, though. I'm super outgoing and I need to communicate in as much forms as I can. That's why I want to learn new languages. That's what I want to dance. That's what I want to, But that's just me. But I'm so curious as to why. We know you are a guy, you know you're dressed as a female, but you still don't want to talk. Is it because you're afraid of your funny voice that you think you have? But there's no funny voice. You are your own voice. It just baffles me. And it's one of life's mysteries. And when one of those mutes suddenly one day breaks the ice and just opens their voice, I get goosebumps and shivers. And I'm so happy that for them, because it kind of feels like I've opened up, I've made a barrier, I developed something, as you said. Raptor.
I think one of the many reasons
I love it and hate it at the same time.
I think one of the many reasons, there are a lot of reasons why from some of the meets I've talked with that happens, and I think I'm going to try and boil it down, and I hate doing that because it's a big thing for various people, but it's like anxiety and stress, how people will perceive them, how they feel about themselves. And so the ones that we've had in our friend group who spoke, they felt comfortable with the people they're with. And then right after they started speaking, it's like all their social anxiety and stress just melted away and they became a very outgoing person. Mouse, for example.
Mouse is a good example. Even if I classified as a mute, even the people that you talk to and you start getting more and more used to who you are, what you do, the shenanigans you might do, the weird shit you do, if it's to a point, and don't push too many buttons. It's just like with Lion and I and everything else like this. Lion has come almost completely full circle and everything else like this, just being himself and everything. And he works with the public as much as I do, but it's a different story when you come in here, you go, oh crap. You don't really, some of them don't want to deal with the public day in. They don't want to do it anymore. They just want to be quiet and stand back and listen. And those are your listeners. There's so much, because when you ask somebody that's been quiet or somebody that talks a little and not a lot and not really, and when they finally do something off the wall that they've never done before, and you stand there and you stare at them and they look at it like, what? And you're going, are you okay? And they go, I didn't do anything on you. No, you've done something you've never done before. And is this you? And they look at themselves and they go, well, I'm sorry. And they, no, it's not an apology situation. It's more, is this you? And they start to think, yes, it is me. You give them a little bit. You're not trying to drive them back into a hole. You're trying to bring them out going, that was funny. That was cool. That was great. Stuff like this. And you just stand and they just look at you like you got bugs coming out of your ears because they did something you've not used to. And in real life, that's how they are. But they want to come in here and try to be different because they don't want you to see what they are, and it don't matter. They get the idea it doesn't matter. They understand that it's just VR. That's all it is. It's VR. And getting that to certain people that sign language or talk and stuff, you learn so much in here. Each person I look at that everybody is actually a cartoon. You know it? It'd be, if you know anything about the history of Warner Brothers cartoons or Bugs Bunny and all those characters, it's one person's personality split in multiple different directions. Well, that's how I see everybody in here
all the time.
Yeah,
my avatar matches my personality,
and that's the way it is. That's the way it goes. That's takes when you see somebody that goes through so many avatars. You know, everybody screws around with screwing avatars, but when they have that one that go, this is it. The other ones are just on the back order that, okay, everybody's screwing around like the Knuckles situation. Everybody, all of a sudden you get a room full, they're just screwing around having fun, but then all of a sudden when you turn your back, they're back into the original avatar that they're comfortable with. They have the reasons what they are and what they go.
Yeah, and also, as you said, our to put it a little bit simplified with life and VR and everything regarding mutes and taking choices and is this me or is this not me? Well, I like to look at life in three types of ways, or everything that happens to me or that I want to do, I can put it in three categories. Either it strengthens me, it weakens me, or it defines me. In most situations, I want things to strengthen me, but in some situations, it also defines me. So if we just look at it like simplified ways like that, and there's nothing to be afraid of in VR. So if you just open up, speak, or just communicate in all the aspects you can inside this fantastic world, you can become stronger as a person.
You got that correct. Indeed. He's correct on that one.
I've had a lot of conversations with people who've divulged that they've come into VRChat, they're all stressed out and kind of a shy and close person, and then after coming into VRChat with the community, having friends, they've opened up, and not just in VR, but real life as well, like to the point where their families and friends don't recognize the person they're talking to because, like, something about VRChat helps people realize quite a lot of things, especially when they're like of the more enclosed and shy nature. And I'm glad VRChat has that ability for people to like, oh, hey, not a lot of people notice these things I care about as much as I thought they did. Yeah.
That is so true. So true. But yeah, I love this place. As an addition to real life, it is an amazing place that one can grow and become stronger. And it's so hard for me, as how I see it, it's hard to become weaker for being in here. How can that happen if you just, it's the balance thing that I said in the beginning, but everything I experience in here I can bring with me in real life and do something positive with it. No matter how you spin it, I can tell stories to real life coworkers about what I did inside VR, and they're like, "What? You did what?" And it gives opportunities to us as humanity, is what I'm seeing, because the space is getting cramped and we are getting more and more people on the earth, so it's bound to become more virtual spaces that will be occupied. I even saw a documentary about why there's a problem with outdoor people because all the people in America are going to the same national parks over and over and over again, so it ruins the economy with the towns, ruins the wildlife in the area. So if we all can just sit back and relax a little bit more and don't overachieve out in the real world, you can achieve things in the virtual world that also can enrich you in the real world.
Like for
So it's the human balance. I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, I very much agree with you. A lot of things here you can take on the real world. One of our someone I've been able to meet and be friends with learned coding in here, and then now does that as a job out in the real world. Start off as a fun thing they learned here, and then
Nice.
it became a thing out there. So there are a lot of things, as you used an example earlier, that you could take out in the real world that could benefit your life. It just depends on what you look for and how you want to use it.
Yeah, and my avatar creator that I got my avatar from, he learned how to do it all from being inside VRChat. And it's not his real life job or anything, but it's still something that never would have happened if that person did not get exposed to this world.
You know, that's avatars is another thing I've noticed as well. I feel like avatar quality at times is better than video game character quality. Like I was talking with some friends who do those kinds of things, and almost every video game character you see besides cutscenes, like Visemes and all that stuff, isn't something that's focused on. But with avatars, they come in VRChat, they come stock with all of it. Like even down to the smallest detail, the tail moves, the eyes blink. You'll be able to speak when you speak it with your character. The mouth moves. All those things are come standard here, but
I
aren't
would
standard
love
out
face
there.
tracking.
Oh, agreed.
Yeah, and face tracking, for example. That's the next step for me to get more body language. But then again, when you are looking at somebody cute, you cannot lie with your eyes in real life, but you can in here without face tracking. But then again, it's more communicating, and that's also one of the things. I'm a social worker, and we have in Norway where I live, you need to contact, say, if you're unemployed, you need to contact certain offices. And back in the days, you had to visit the office and talk with them. And nowadays, and then you could phone call them, and now you can chat with them. And all these things they've added, like chatting services and phone calls, is to minimize the visitors coming into the office. Because, sad to say, people that are on the low end of income and low end of life tend to overreact and do crazy things sometimes because of desperation. So the cops need to pick them up and the hospital and everything. So when people are chatting, they have less cops visiting their offices every year. The next thing is to get an employee a VR headset with face tracking and full body. They sit down in a virtual office. If you want help from the government, you have to put on your AR official goggles or whatever and enter the VR world. And you can talk with people like we are talking now, and you have full body communication except touch. And that's also why you will most likely see no more business meetings with New York executives taking a plane to Amsterdam just to have an hour meeting. They can just do it in virtual reality instead.
One of our friends here.
So that's also going to happen.
It's already happening. One of our friends here in VRChat works with software and coding, and his entire company is virtual. Like they'll have, it's not VRChat they work in. It's another program I don't remember the name of because I'm a half-wit, but they'll meet
Nice.
up in that. They'll either desktop or VR or whatever they wish, and that's how they conduct their meetings. And it's already sort of happening already. I'm sure give it maybe 10 years, it'll be more of a standard. Oop.
No, give it 2 to 5 years, I say, because of the exponential growth.
Oh,
A
really?
coder today, if he uses chatbot help with coding, he can save 8 to 10 hours on a big project. And if he uses that saved 8 hours on a new project and a new project, you have growth.
Ah.
So just look at where we are now from when we discovered oil and where we will be in the next. So every time age in history have been shorter and shorter and shorter. So the next one is AI and nanotechnology.
Mm.
Can we do a small break? I just have to go
Oh.
to the toilet and
Oh, that's all good.
grab another beer.
That's all good. Of course.
Is it okay?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. I forgot to go to the toilet before we went in.
Hold on.
So it's
We'll
gonna
be
take
right back.
2 minutes.
It's okay. With the magic of editing, we'll pile this together. See you in a second.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hi, folks. You folks come and join us on our social and on our Discord. We love to see you there. We have a Patreon, and we have 2 people that have signed on, Training Fangs and Zero. And I hope we get to see you there, folks. We appreciate the time and effort that you make. And my ball's getting out of here because it needs new rubber. Bye.
Hello, we're back from our short break. Raptor is off shoveling or plowing snow, so he may or may not return during this. But hey, I have a question. What during our break, I was thinking, during your time here in VRChat, was there anybody that influenced you in what you're doing now, whether with the content creation or dancing, anyone that gave you help or did something that stuck with you?
Most everybody, to put it frank, because when I'm dancing myself, I look at myself in the mirror, I look at the other people around me dancing, and that gives me inspiration. I've done a small music production myself back in the day, so I'm eager to try and start making music again myself. And that's also an inspiration when I'm talking with music producers. So basically, I think there's not one specific person. It's more like how the community is as a whole. Because Myriad, the European group, is the first group that I got encountered with, and they all just welcomed me with open arms. I felt out of touch because I'm a little bit most likely the oldest guy in the room when I'm hanging out in VR. But none treat me as I'm that, and I don't see age or whatever, but I see the community as a whole is actually what inspires me. Just by being here with you inspires me, and what you are doing with your content and everything, it's spreading the word and letting people know what's going on and the possibilities, because it's an addition to life. And as also as a Raptor said, you learn a hell of a lot if you experience a lot, and you can experience more in here than you can in real life. Just as I also said, I got in touch with people that are approximately the same age as me and love doing what I love doing, dancing and just exploring the body language and staying in shape and socialize. And I would never met those people in my town.
I believe.
And there might be some people like that, but circumstances won't let me meet them because of life.
Agreed. There's a saying or a quote that Raptor says a lot. I want to paraphrase because it changes a little bit each time, but learn to adapt with technology or you'll be left behind. And I think VR and the metaverse is one of those things that people should start learning and adapting with, because I think VRChat's in that small little special moment where it's going to help start building whatever the future culture is of VR, whatever it be the future, whether it's like Ready Player One or what say you. VRChat in its current stage, I think, is writing some cultural history for whatever that is. And I think people...
Yeah, we are just the beta testers. we are early birds, because what we are doing now, many people are going to do in 5-10 years. Well, most people. And adapt, and as you said, Raptor, say you need to adapt to the technology. You can look at art and look at people before we had traditional art, and then digital art came around, and you had a few people that were stuck with traditional art, and they got out of work and didn't sell anything unless they were like big names. But nowadays you have people in digital art, and the next transition for artists is the AI technology. Should they embrace it as a tool to help themselves be more creative and build more? The same with script writers and journalists. You don't need 10 journalists now. You only need one to be good at communicating with AI, and he can produce the same that 10 journalists can do on its own. So that's what also VR is. It's another addition to real life that you can have as a tool that can build up on everything. And if you want to be a better person, it's easier to test out things in here and then do the same in real life. Hell, I love video editing, and I've always wanted to do it, but mouse and keyboard, I didn't like it. So I started with my iPad and just YouTube shorts from my content in January this year. And I fell in love with it, and I learned, and now I even make family videos for my family, like a postcard or when they have birthday, and it's like a big memory instead of just a picture in a photo album. It's a live re-experience, and I would never be able to do that if it weren't for me experiencing myself doing shit in VR, having fun and dancing and sharing it with other people. So it is a tool. You need to adapt to the technology, unless you're going to be stuck behind. And it's always going to be like that. It was so much better in the good old days. But if you go back to the good old days, somebody was also saying, oh, it was so much better in the good old days, and so on and so on and so on. So what we need to do is adapt, develop, and go forward. So that's what I'm also like, strengthen, get better, get stronger. And if I can help you get better, I get better. But that's also why I work with humans. I bring my work in here at the same time, because when I help somebody else, I help myself.
There's a quote I've been saying a lot recently, which is a rising tide lifts all ships. And with VRChat being able to get in contact with so many people globally, it adds that little bit of nature, knowing that someone across the planet, even if you're sitting listening to them vent about their horrible day, you still gave them a hand. And would you be able to talk to this person from Norway or Japan if in your day-to-day life with the good old technology? No. Would you be able to learn dancing from someone who lives in the UK? No. When's the next time in the good old days you're gonna be in the UK at a dance club with someone who's gonna willingly teach you dance?
Yeah.
Never.
And what's so funny? Yeah. On that regard, I really love dancing, and there's one specific music genre that I've always loved, but I've never known that there was some specific dancing style related to it, and it was called as electro swing. It's called neo swing. It's like swing, fast-paced dancing. And then I started looking a month ago on YouTube, and I found different people on the platform making real-life tutorials and videos. And I started commenting on them, and they then looked up my YouTube channel, and they commented back, and I was like, oh my God, VRChat dancing. I need to get into this. How is this working? And now I'm communicating with two different neo swing dancers in Japan that are currently looking into how to get into VR and meet up and dance together.
Oh, wow.
And I could never have had that opportunity in my small town in Norway.
It's one of the
people with burning similar interests. And that's outside VR. And that's something I made in VR, put it out in the world and let them see it. And they put something in the real life to others to see. So sharing is caring, and sharing is building.
Indeed. I think with VR, I think a lot of people need at least, I don't say jump into it, but at least give it a try, because I have a strange feeling that the way our tech is going, that augmented reality, XR, and VR is going to replace things like phones, is going to replace things like your computer. You're going to be able to multitask by like hanging out with your friends or sitting a business meeting while simultaneously doing whatever it is you're doing. And or being able to meet with people from across the planet because you're a virtual company in a digital space, so you get the feeling of being there in person with them without actually being in there in person with them. You don't have to spend $1,000 on a plane ticket to who knows where. It's just you put on your headset. I think it's a great tech for people to get into.
Yeah, and we're going to see more and more and more of it. The government, as soon as, yes, I said, when the government realizes that they can cut down on a lot of costs by doing meetings inside VR, for example. So it's only going to explode. And we are the early birds. What we are doing now is just testing the waters.
And I think a lot of the people in VRChat, the enthusiasts here, I'm glad to see what they produce. I enjoy world hopping and talking with people. It's one of the reasons why I'm glad I do this. Without VRChat and this weird platform that we're now running, I would never have learned these things from anybody I've talked to, such as yourself. This wouldn't have been something to do back in the good old days, back when there wasn't this godforsaken VR bullshit. I wouldn't have done this. I wouldn't have learned what coding was. I wouldn't have learned half the stuff at all. It's great.
Yeah. So it is an addition to build yourself up as a person, and the better person you are, the better people around you become, and the better we become. So I'm not saying it's going to save humanity, but it might be an addition to make us more happy as humans. And seek out new relationships, new experiences. Because, not to be too philosophical and deep, but I am a collection of my experiences and what I've experienced and lived, and open to new future possibilities and experiences. It's as simple as that. I am whatever I have been and what I can become. And by being in here, I'm opening up myself to new possibilities that never would ever have happened outside.
You know, speaking of philosophical things, I very much agree with you 100%. It's also quite cool to see people who create things as well. Like when you hop through a world, I'm going to use Dr. Morrow's worlds for an example. You could see very far into his own mind if you've ever been in that world. And it tells a story environmentally. And play things like that in VR. Could you do it with real art?
I haven't, but I've heard about it.
Oh, you know what?
I haven't been to that
if
world,
you have
but I've
a
heard
few
about
minutes,
it. But send me a link.
If you have a few minutes after this, we could do a short walk. I'd love to show you. He does such great work. It's like walking through an abstract dreamscape. You know, some of those paintings where it's like kind of abstract a little bit. You'll see like one building become another. It's like that, but in VR as a world. And I feel like it tells a story environmentally, and it's so well done. And VR, it allows you to do some crazy stuff like that.
Yeah, this world has boosted my creativity. I'm a hobby artist. I don't live off of art, but I draw, I can paint, and I've always loved it. Two-dimensional traditionally, and I also draw digitally on my Procreate on my iPad. But as soon as I discovered video editing and combining myself, getting better at dancing, and also sharing what music DJs and producers, and not to say to let out the VJs, the visual DJs that makes all the magic happen with the lights and the screens. The creativity is such a boost because I get that creativity when I go to bed and I've edited a video or experienced something in here that I can build upon and create something that leaves some kind of footprint. Not that it's important that people remember me when I'm not around, but to leave something behind that make people smile and make people happy or make people educated gives me a huge joy. So this is boosting my creativity in so many levels.
Oh,
and I see no reason to play another game, a normal game, unless it's socially with somebody. And yeah, now I can play games in here if I want to.
Yeah, I'm surprised how many games there are here in VRChat. When I first hopped in, I didn't expect to see games. I was like, oh, cool, maybe something basic, or maybe we'll hang out in a world of talk with people is what I thought it was. But now there are entire games built in here. There's a team building Sword Art Online for an example, and
Mm-hmm.
it's impressive to
I
see.
listened to that in half body.
Oh,
Back, yeah, one of the first weeks I had my headset, I was in the Sword Art Online because I love the Sword Art Online anime. But if I want to give a recommendation, if you love Sword Art, read the books or do the audiobooks of Awaken Online. Can't remember the author's name, but it's like a big series. I've read the 3 first books, and it's freaking amazing. It's Sword Art on another level, and yeah, I dream upon the day, but then I will have a balance issue, because if I can be in an MMO kind of world in VR like this, and there's a dance or fighting class, and you're good at like fit or doing moves, the better you are, the better the character is, and combine that with items, I would be sold. I would be dancing and kicking shit because it's martial arts and dancing, and I love both things. So then I would have the balance issue of like, when do I need to spend time in the real world? But until that day, we have time to prepare.
That does bring up a pretty good question, though, that I think a lot of us here in the as you put it, the early birds of VR need to start asking ourselves is how much is too much? How do you hey.
Yeah, that's also a question, and I'm not even. Yeah, I can't even say I'm an early bird because I've only been here 1 year now, and but I did collect 1,500 hours in that year, and 1,000 of those are most likely dancing. But yeah, what's a decent amount of being in VR? Well, my real life friends, they say you do too much because they see the content I shared in the beginning and I overshared. And when I make a clip inside VR for say 30 seconds to 4 minutes, you only need to be inside 1 hour to make that happen. But they think I'm in there for like 20 hours or 10 hours to make that happen. So for me, the balance is I go in after I've eaten dinner, and it's around 8, 9 p.m. my time. And then if it's a weekday, I go out at around midnight and go to bed. I've tried sleeping in VR at night, but I can't do it. I can do power naps in VR. Go to, say, this world and just take a nap and put my timer on my Apple Watch for 45 minutes, and it's amazing. But as long as I go in 8 p.m., 9 p.m., I can't overdo it because my body says stop. Even in the weekends when I go to a dance event and it starts at 8 and it ends at 2 a.m., I can sometimes be on to say like 5 a.m. But then my body has had enough and I go to bed, and yeah, I can't overdo it. But if it was so easy for me to just put on my headset and wear it all day and have full body all day with no straps, then I would not see any point of taking it off, and it would become an issue. But then again, I know my demons by just saying this out loud now to you and to you guys watching. So that makes it possible that I can prepare and make myself have that balance. So for me, it's like I need to have some communication socially with people outside and people inside. But I do spend more time in deep conversations with people inside than outside. That's because we work, we study, and we don't have time to go to the theater with my best friend because he also has a family or kids or whatever, and we need to set an appointment. So it's easier to spend that social time in here. But for me, it's the balance. Have the social, but if you can also combine them. I'm still trying to get one of my best friends from the MMO games when I played Final Fantasy XI, played that game on and off since 2004. And I've met him once in real life because he lives on the other side of Norway. It takes the same amount of time to travel to Italy to travel to him for me.
Oh.
But I'm still trying to get him to get a headset so me and him can sit down and have a beer and just talk like we do now, instead of just doing that on a webcam like we do every once a month or twice a month, and just talk and chill because we're good friends. And I want to do it with him in here.
That is a pretty good point. I only asked that question earlier. Let me find my cam closer to me. I only asked the question earlier because I have taken some notice that there are people here in VRChat that take it a little too far. Like, you'll see them online all the time. They'll sleep in VR. They'll drink in VR. As soon as they're out of work, they're just here. Like, you're guaranteed to see them out of like 70% of the day, and that is something I think us as a community need to like put some thought into at least.
Yeah, but it's also, for me, it boils down to some easy aspects of real life things, like how tidy is your home? Have you sorted out your nutrition? Have you sorted out your income? Have you sorted out your vacuum plan? Do you do the dishes? Do you buy groceries? All the balance things needs to be in order. So if you just escape from all that and just put on your headset and you don't see the clutter around you, well, then you have an issue. Then maybe you need to talk with somebody, a therapist in here, or a therapist in real life, or just somebody, because it's so easy to criticize the world and not have your own shit together. And to go in here and do it, it's so much easier than to go and do it in real life. And that's why many people tend to be not weak, but go with a dark side of life and then just ignore things that matter and try and do something else and put themselves in a better light because they have good status in here. They have haptic suits, they have the sleeping time schedules, friends they sleep with, socialize. Yeah, they're big inside the VR, but it's not important to be big in real life or big in VR. It's important to have balance and be happy with yourself. So I like one of the simple rules of a famous person we don't need to mention, but don't criticize the world before you have your own house in order.
Yes.
So if you've done all your dishes, if you've done all your chores, and everything is nice, then go and have fun in VR. Just like you would do in real life. Go outside and have fun and go and get drunk at a bar. You don't go get drunk at a bar unless you have a problem in real life you want to escape, or unless you want to reward yourself and have a good time with friends. So it boils down to escapism or reward.
Okay.
For me, that's how I see it.
I think you have some very good points there, and thank you for laying it out like that. That's just something that pops in my mind every now and again.
Those people you are referring to are escaping from something that they need to address. Because they have some unbalance.
Yeah. VR.
I'm just guessing, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, VR. I'm not like think of anyone specific. I'm just kind of using it as a point that I was reminded by something you've said earlier. It's one of the things that pops in my mind every now and again is you'll see people like they'll be in here all the time and you think, are they okay? I'm not trying to say like they're horrible people. I just worry that VR.
I have a few of those myself. I have a few of those friends myself that you are describing. They live, sleep, eat, do sex, do sleep, do everything in VR. And from some of them, I've seen their real life pictures, and yeah, there's a lot of things they can fix. But then again, who defines what needs to be fixed or not? Somebody likes to see the dishes this high, and somebody likes to see no dishes. But it boils down to balance. But if you are in here, say 10 hours every day of a 24-hour day schedule, then there might be some issues you need to address. Or indeed. I don't know. Nope. It's hard. Unless
I
you're like
agree
a
with you.
rich in heritage and you have no income issues and you can just do what the hell you want, then have fun. At
Yeah.
least spread joy while you're in here.
Oh yeah. No, I only worry because I some of the people I've met that are like that, I kind of worry about their own. I worry about them as a way to put it. It's not because I don't think they're not taking care of their life. They wouldn't have a place to play VR if they weren't able to take care of things to some degree. Though at the exact same point, escapism
But
from
we gotta,
yeah.
yeah. But that's one thing we need to always have in the back of our mind, and that's also very work related for me. It's that nobody can tell you how to live your life.
Yeah.
You have to decide how to live your life.
You got a point.
But as long as you're living a life that's not hurting people around you, it's okay. But if you are hurting people or other people are worried about you need to get a new balance or an equilibrium between you and that social relationship so both can benefit of being together. So if you're worried about somebody that spends too much time in here, they need to convince you that they are okay and they don't need your help, or they will take your help and see to fix it. But it all boils down to nobody can tell you what to do with your body and what you want to do because you're autonomous. You own yourself, and you gotta decide.
You got a very good point there, and thank you for explaining things. And I greatly appreciate hearing your side of things. Very much so. I enjoy these philosophical conversations personally greatly.
Yeah, I get deep very fast, but yeah, I love deep things. It's just how life is for me. The more, and every person I talk with, I always go in with one thing in my mind. This person knows something that I don't know, and I want to learn it from that person. And if I know something that can make this person see things in a new light or get a better day, then I'm all in for it. So I love people. I love humanity. That's what I live for.
So, may I ask you a question? What what initially was your thoughts when you were coming into VRChat? May I ask, like what were you thinking when you first came in here, and just before?
Ah, As I said, I was looking at the clubbing scene and the dancing, and I wanted to experiencing escaping and rewarding myself because I was a family guy with wife, two kids, and played video games on my ass, worked and played video games on my ass, and I wanted to be more social without actually going out the door. So the expectations I had when I went in was like, how many new connections can I make in here? Because I know it's easy, and I have a lot of friends I've met by just texting from back in the early 90s when internet came out with IRC. I still are in touch with some of those guys still. So my expectations were like, oh, I can't wait to meet people,
That's a really good point.
to connect.
And what better platform
Yeah.
than VRChat to do that? There's so many people doing so many things, and from various parts of the globe. It's a great place to do that. Oh, it's a
It
very
is, and it's still rewarding for me. Every day I'm in here, it rewards me.
I very much agree. Some of my best friends now, like Raptor, for example, I've met here. If I've never came in, I would have never have met this wonderful man. And VRChat's the place to do it. One of them. You're not guaranteed to find
Yeah, so
people like that, but
nice. So you guys don't know each other in real life. You met in here.
yeah, we met it here. We are planning to meet up
Cool.
soon, but we've met each other here through a mutual acquaintance, Lolly. He's the one who's like, oh, I know a guy, Lion, that I think you would get along great with, and he was not wrong. We've been friends for 2+ years since. Constant contact, always talking.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice.
Hmm. Yeah.
Ah,
I think that's a pretty wholesome reason for you hopping in VR is for connections. And it's a very common thing for people I've noticed who come in here is they're looking for that very thing, more connections with people, more conversations, feel uh some people are trying to feel less alone, I guess is a way to put it.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, if your only social connection is inside here, as I also saw somebody else said, I can't remember the name, but at the end of the day, when you take off your headset, you're still alone in your living room or your computer room or wherever. And if you're not happy by being when you take it off and you just want to put it back on again, then you need to get that balance and figure out something that makes you happy.
Hmm. You got a point. Very much so. I
Because
agree.
I discovered that myself because I got divorced, and VR has nothing to do with why I got divorced. Me and my wife been together for 14 years, and we just grew apart. So we didn't grow, and everything is nice with our communication and such. But what I realized when I had a little accident and got a hernia, and it was like shit. That's just me around. And when the hospital asked regarding surgery, do you have an adult around that can supervise if something happens? And you started thinking, no, I'm just basically all alone. I love the freedom by being alone, and I'm not I'm alone, but I'm not lonely. But if you take off the headset and you feel lonely and you need to put it back on to not feel lonely again, then you need to get some balance in real life to get
Yes.
it to happen.
Yes.
That's what I was trying to say.
No, I very much agree with you. And your only social interaction should not be just in VR. As you said, balance is key for everything. And even if it's just you talk with people at work and have a few people you can go out and have a beer with after work, I think that's just as important. And at least also keep in contact with your family. If I'd say if you at least can keep that as a minimum amount of people you talk with outside of the headset, people at work, and your family, I think those are the two important things you should always keep with you. I think that should be a minimum balance.
Totally agree.
And I see minimum, not like a family member and a coworker. I mean, like the people you're directly in contact with at work and your mother, father, brother, sisters, and maybe some cousins if you're close with them, and try and keep contact with them on top of VR. I think at least socially, that should be a good social balance as long as all the rest of your house is in order.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. It's so true. And yeah, most people have it like that, but there are cases where they have issues. But then again, if we can help them build up the courage, get over social anxiety, practice in here, open up, go from a mute to not a mute, whatever it is, if we all can just help and build us up, we will all become stronger.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people use VRChat as a way to get over social anxiety, and a lot of people get over it when here. It's quite easy when you have a community like VRChat that's so willing, accepting, and is very willing to speak with you when you first meet as it and act as if they've known you for years. And I think it's a great place for people like that as well to like ease out of their shell in a sense. And I'm glad the community here is like that. It's like most games out there, it's a toxic pile of shit. But here it's not the case.
It's not. And in here, you can just block them. You can just mute them. You can turn their avatars off and you can go on with your daily life. But imagine if you could do that in real life at the same time. Black Mirror, the TV show, have made a few episodes about how dystopian the future can be with tech going wrong.
Yeah.
But imagine you had the same power in real life if everybody was wearing goggles and I can just turn you off, block you. And if you were waiting for the bus, I would just say, see a bus stopping and nobody going on, but you were going on because I have previously blocked you because you were rude at me in the supermarket. that becomes a dangerous world again. But
Oh, yeah.
still, in here, we get that balance. If you are a dick inside VRChat, you will get blocked. You join a VR event and you see suddenly one person disappears, another disappears, another, and suddenly you're standing all alone because everybody blocked you. They kind of sends you a message. If you want to stay in here, behave. So it's also putting social order with ethics and morals, putting them in place, but not being like the dictatorship society where you have cameras everywhere and giving you karma points on how you behave. But if you're good with me, I'm good with you. So, but yeah, it's fun to think on those aspects because it can happen that we actually everybody wear like lenses or glasses, and I can mute you or turn you off or whatever. And if you want to look like something else, then you can look like something else for everybody else, like I do in here, or you do. And then you also can save money on fashion or whatever, because you don't need all the resources to get all the clothes, because you can just change it digitally. And we all wear the same jumper suits, but we see it differently. I just my mind going off, but
No, that is a pretty good
but
point.
it did.
If you're in that possible reality, you don't have the money for the glasses or the headset, life's gonna seem very macabre in terms of like, oh,
No,
everyone's
no,
already
everybody gets it. When you're
oh
born, you get it installed when you're born.
oh okay
That's the future I'm just picturing. So if when you're born, you get you get it installed, like microchips or whatever lenses, and it's with you for life. But that's how also Black Mirror pictured it in their TV show. But another fun fact regarding mirrors and recordings in VR that I've not struggled, but I found funny in real life, because I'm using a Pico headset, and if I press this button,
Yep.
I record from my eyes, I press it again, I unrecord, and I just transfer that MP4 file to my computer, and I have point of view recording. And nobody knows I'm recording. And the same with the mirror. I can put up a mirror like I have now. I see myself sitting. I see you on the other side because it's transparent. And I can dance at a club, and I can see in the mirror people behind me doing stuff, but they don't know I have a mirror. So I have so many times in real life now, I'm sitting on the bus and I hear some voices behind me, and I'm grabbing my hand to take up the cogwheel, and I'm like, no, this is real life. So, and a funny moment happens, and I'm like, I want to record this. No, I ain't got the thumb button. Ah, fuck it.
Yeah, there's a few times will be like socializing a talk. It's like, yep, while they're talking, maybe I should just mute myself, and I'll look for the mute button. It's like, oh wait, I'm in a grocery store.
Yeah, when you wake up in the morning and you see a white mute icon briefly in your visual, and then it goes away. I've had that happen.
You know, some things I wonder about too is I wonder how many people come in here and learn something and try it in real life. Like, I'd use head pats for an example. Never outside VRChat have I seen people like, oh, hello, how you doing today? And just give you a little head pat. But in here,
I do
it's
it
like
to my
very
son.
common.
I started doing it more after I did VRChat, and he's 12, and he's like, "Stop it, Dad."
For those who don't know what it is, it must
So
be
I'm now stuck,
weird.
yeah.
It must be weird to have like someone you like, oh, I've been doing VR, and just like
Oh,
come up
shit.
to you and they start giving you head pats, and it's like, what is this? I'm not 5.
Give me a
You're
sec.
flying. I won't show you, but you're flying. Oh, yeah. I just figured that has to be fun. Like, how many people would come in here, hang out with some friends, like, oh, people head pat to say hello, and I want people to go out in the real world. It's like, hello, I'm Lion. How you doing? She's like, I just met you. Why the fuck are you petting my head?
But I haven't discovered, no, I've always known about it. But yeah, if you're a leader, or if you like to rule, or not rule, but dominate people, many people do it with body touching. They touch your shoulder, you touch your arm while they're talking to you. Yeah, just like how you handshake another person. There's subtle movements you can do. But what I also realized after doing a lot of head pets in real life, I kind of like to touch people in real life more, but in a good way, not in like a dominant way, but like when it's appropriate, when somebody needs to be giving comfort or something. You stroke them a little bit on their shoulder, on their arm from the side, and you make that barrier from awkwardness or distance, and it becomes closeness and openness. And that's something I experienced I like to do more in real life after being given head pets and giving head pets. And I love head pets. It's awesome.
It's in very human nature to want human contact and touch. Is probably the most human things possible, and wanting to go out there and like it rub someone's shoulder, or pet their head, or even cuddle, for that example, is a very human thing to want. And at an age where things are becoming a lot more digital, I see much less of that. So maybe here soon with things like, I say, VRChat users, maybe hopefully people want to get close like that again and not just sit behind a Twitter screen.
Yeah, that's so true. And but also what's so funny about when it comes to your intimacy zones regarding people you like and you trust in strangers and how far they can be with you. If you're face to face, this is like strangers. This is your friend. This is your family. If you go sideways with people, you can go shoulder to shoulder with a stranger and it doesn't feel awkward. But in VRChat, you can be on the family intimacy with a stranger and it still doesn't feel awkward. So that's also one of the reasons why I think it helps people with social anxiety and such, and yeah, like being close to other people and trusting, because you can open up much easier without opening up completely, because you are safe without the physical touch.
Indeed. You know,
So
I've never seen a group of people be willing to like cuddle in a group of people who've never met them before I come into VRChat. I thought that was a quite uniquely VRChat thing. Like out in the real world, you never see people do that. Like unless you're a furry in a furry convention, that happens there. But here in VRChat, you don't see that in a day
yeah,
to day life. Just be like, oh hey, cool. We'll all just sit next to each
no,
other, touching and watching a movie. Nothing happens. They're just all enjoying each other's company.
yeah, the only in real life certain cuddle experiences as I've had is back in my youth when you were at a rave and the night was ending and people were stopping dancing and they were just cuddling up, strangers and everything, just touching bodies and falling asleep because it was like peace, love, unity, or whatever. But that's also why VR is kind of like it's it's like the hippies from back in the day.
Yeah.
They open up, they are close. They don't have all the society strains pulling them down. They just want to have a good time and actually let humans connect. Because even though I can't touch your body, our souls are connecting while we are speaking. And if I can have a semi connection with just touching and stroking your arm or giving you a head pat, you get that human acknowledgement and response in the experience. And then you have people developing phantom sense, people never getting it, and people having it from the get go. And it's a strange aspect, but I kind of look at it like it's a new renaissance or connecting and letting people open up in a new way, but also a familiar way.
I definitely see I definitely agree with you with all of that. And I'm glad at least somewhere in the planet there are people who are willing to like let people be willing to accept and just connect with people in the way they do here in VRChat. At least there's someone out there that will, instead of like the
Mm.
COVID shitscape we had a couple years ago.
Yeah, and What's funny, one of my first nights in VR, I was just in the Never Endless Driving, Rainy Road, I think it's called, the camper van. And I just went upstairs, I put on some low, chill trance music, and I lay down and watched the movie. And then some strange female avatar lay down and started cuddling with me and wanted to do more. But I'm like a married person, and I'm like, this isn't just ticking my bells. But I just said, thank you for everything and the compliment that you want to connect. We can cuddle and I can sleep next to you, but this is my limit. And that person just is typed in, that's okay. It was a mute. And we just sat down and we watched the music video that lasted like 25 minutes. And I befriended that person, and we went and played golf a few times. And I haven't seen that person ever since, but it was a nice person. But I think that person was looking for a deeper connection, like ERP or whatever.
Yes.
But then again, it was fun to see, and it was a little bit shocking, but not shocking because I understood where that person come from and what that person wanted. And as long as you're open and communicate back, there's no misunderstanding.
Yeah.
So it's a strange place.
Yep. VRChat is a strange place, but it's also interesting to experience it as well. Everything that it is, it's you don't see these kinds of things or experience these kinds of people or learn these kinds of lessons outside of here. How else will you experience someone's dreamscape while also learning more about yourself in the meantime? Outside is not like that at all. And I'm glad it's here for people as well. I'm glad I came. And I'm glad I got to meet you. Very much so.
Yeah, likewise. It's every conversation and every person you meet will teach you something. And I've learned a lot, and I still learning. And you can never be unlearned in life, basically. So just experience and have fun along the way.
Indeed. From here, I will say I'm going to cut it. Where can people find you if they wish to find you?
Yeah, I'm on basically all social platforms, but I'm going under the name Snitchie, and my YouTube channel, it's Snitchie. And Twitter, it's SnitchieVR_. But yeah, it's the YouTube, and I'm part of the Cauldron group, VRChat community. So if you want to get in touch with me on Discord, I'm staff in that group, and the link is also in the YouTube channel to that Discord. So yeah, big out to the Cauldron. Just had to say that.
Okay. Well, thank you all for watching and enjoying this conversation between me, Raptor, and Snitchie. Since Raptor is currently plowing snow, we usually end this on some sort of advice or positive note. Take some time to learn for yourself and experience some new things, even if it's not here in VRChat with us. Because expanding out your horizons is never a bad thing. Enjoy your day.